Hello, everybody. It's the Spincast Cycling Show. Your host, Brian Kellison, Casey Shum, Lisa Reese. Not on a boat, Brian White. He's probably dreaming of a boat, being on some cruise or something like that. But slow week for me. I had maybe 3 rides. Oh, you know what I just thought of? We were just talking about what we were going to talk about. I just thought of this. I didn't want to ride inside yesterday, and I did because I hadn't put new handlebar tape. I'm thinking grip tape like I'm a skateboarder again. I was like, I'm going to go ride outside. Like, I don't even want to ride inside because I'm just sort of like, I need some new motivation. And I'm like, I can't ride because I can't do my bar tape in 5 minutes when I need to ride. And I rode on Bike Terra. But have you guys have that? I know you're in different weather areas, weather patterns. Have you considered riding outside over sort of like, regardless of time and safety and all the other stuff, but like, do you guys still think about race or riding outside?
Yes. There was 3 days here where it was sunny and I thought, man, spring is here. And then we had 2 weeks of shit. And today the sun came out while I was racing Canada versus the world. And I kept looking out of the corner of my eye going, look at that sun. And when I got off the bike, it was cloudy, but.
And welcome to Illinois, because I should have turned the air conditioner on Friday because we got to 80 degrees, had severe thunderstorms, and there was snow on the ground this morning. So the furnace is running. So I had a similar consideration today, Brian, but it was because I'm traveling next week. And I'm like, what bike is the closest to actually being roadworthy to take with me when I travel if I want to ride? I'm like, I either got to refresh the sealant in the tires of the gravel bike, or I can just pump up the tires on the road bike, because I think the tubes would probably still be good. So I'm leaning more road bike. Like, I can probably just swap the pedals on, pump it up, and be good enough. Because I'm getting over the whole tubeless sealant thing, because when you ride once a year, you spend a lot of money on sealant.
No. Yeah. Just butyl tubes. You don't even no latex. Latex is for like your time trial. You do a race. Yeah. But butyl tubes, they just stay in there. They last. I just pump up the tires, make sure the chain is good. Brakes are good. I go. But I didn't have bar tape. So we still, the 3 of us at least, I don't know if Brian, I remember watching Brian stream a couple days ago. He said, if I did ride outside, I would ride on this. And he brought in the GPX file into Bike Terra. So we're just going to talk about Bike Terra first. Then we'll get into the Zwift stuff that's coming. And then everyone else kind of did other things. But the Bike Terra stuff is, you can bring in, they have a new dashboard, which was, I think, released a couple days ago. So their interface is a little bit better. There's some controversy. I don't know if it's controversy. Maybe I created my own. They have a draft indicator. They used to have a draft indicator.
It was you.
It was me.
You.
It was me.
It was you.
And then they changed it to, so in the sort of HUD, or a heads-up display is what the abbreviation is. There's power, cadence, heart rate, but there's icons. There's no sort of like, hey, this is power. Like, we're telling you this is power, this is the cadence, and this is the heart rate. But right above that, they have a draft indicator, which was similar to like the percentage of savings if you are in the draft. That was, who does that? It gives you a percentage. We talked about this a couple shows ago. There's indicators in MyWhoosh where it says it's green. I don't know if they changed it now, but it used to be green if you were in the draft, right, on your power. But it didn't tell you any sort of gain or something like that. The draft percentage in Training Peaks, it would give you like a bar graph of like how much draft you're getting. In Bike Terra, it would give you the percentage. Then they changed the name, because I guess it was confusing for people, from draft savings, or just draft, to aero bonus. Then I complained, aero bonus is, I'm like, what is aero bonus? I don't even know what that means. Then it changed to drag reduction. Now, what do you think of that?
See, I was watching that stream and I felt you went on a lot about it.
Oh, I totally went along
And
about
I felt
it.
chat
Because there's
was
nothing else to
egging-
talk about.
Chat was egging you on.
Yes.
And I was like, can we stop talking about drag? But at the same time, from a road bike perspective, aero would be like your wheels, your CDA of your individual bike. Draft is you drafting someone else. Drag would be the same thing as aero. So really, if it's a draft indicator, it needs to be called draft reduction or draft indicator, draft percentage. Like drag and aero don't make sense. They make sense because we all know
They
what
make
it's
sense
trying
if
to
you're a
explain,
scientist.
but it's not
If you are
correct.
like an aerodynamic scientist or like somebody who's like way into it, yeah, you could get all that. Right?
Say draft. I don't think we need to overcomplicate it. It's just draft.
I agree. That's my point. Or get rid of the label and just have like a wind percentage or something, because there's the lightning bolt and then a number. It doesn't say power. It's just a number and a lightning bolt. And we've correlated the two, that the number that's aligned with the lightning bolt is your power, right?
Watts saved, I would guess. Yeah.
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 So outside of that, the feel, and there's been visual improvements on Bike Terra. I really enjoyed it. It's got the flow around people and with people, and the getting the pace line. So a lot of the bots get into a nice pace line, or yeah, they kind of clump up and then they'll string out. There is still this sort of like overcompensating. I think it's just a data in thing because it's Bluetooth. If I had the race, and that's the thing, is I don't know if the race or the 10 hertz instead of the 1 hertz, isn't that, Casey's the Bluetooth person, is it traditionally it's 1 hertz, and then trainer like Wahoo and some other trainers decided to go, hey, we'll record 10 hertz over Wi-Fi, right? But since it's Bluetooth, it can't do 10 hertz over Bluetooth.
Oh, they can. Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you race in like Zwift or Indy Velo or whatever, sorry, Training Peaks, the Bluetooth connection can do the race 10 hertz.
Yes.
I thought it had to be over Wi-Fi.
Nope.
Not anymore.
The race mode works. Yeah. Originally it was
okay.
that, and that was more on the trainer side. The Bluetooth protocol supports the faster refresh rates.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Amp Plus does or not. I think Amp Plus may not.
I don't think so. That was, I think, a long time ago, Casey. Remember when I was doing RGT and I had like 3 different computers going? Oh no, it was when we had I can't remember what it was. It was about draft something. It was whatever. I was doing some RGT thing. Yeah, make your notes, everyone. The RGT is already in the game in 10 just over 10 minutes. But you were explaining to me that the data going in is still the same over Bluetooth and Ant Plus. It's just the ability for it to the speed of its reading it. So like people were, this is when I think the first race sort of like Direct Connect had race mode or whatever it was, and people were like, it's free watts, and you're like, no, it's just Ant Plus is going to show up to the spot later because it's going to eventually have the data that you've been giving it.
Early on in Zwift and most indoor apps, I know a lot of people who are new to cycling thought that if you had your data screen as instantaneous, it was better in game. And I'm like, no, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just a delayed reaction of reading the data.
Garmin head units only record the ant signal once every second, but it comes in lumps. Like it's giving you all the data, but it's just once a second. And that's just to save battery life. I think in indoor cycling, we're not really cared about battery life, but when you're like, have your head unit, you kind of
because you're out there. Yeah. But
you don't want it.
Yeah. You don't want to drain your battery faster for all that stuff. You don't need that. But the thing that I'm bringing up now that we got all the science out of the way, riding in that sort of like group and trying to soft pedal, trying not to overshoot the thing or get out of the draft, move around, because you can kind of move around just by pedaling because of the physics that kind of push you in behind somebody or push you to the right or left. It needs to, I would like for it to be a little bit better and less overcompensating or reading faster so that I'm not overshooting things and then having to soft pedal to come back.
And that was the super exaggerated mess that MyWhoosh had, right? And it sounds like
that was the
You've got a very, very small portion of that here compared to what MyWhoosh had, but
right.
The more you can dial that out, the more you can get to what's happening on the screen is exactly at the moment that it happens at your feet. The more it flows, right? Like you're saying, it flows rather than you have to get into this weird anticipation, right? Like, oh, I'm catching up to his back wheel. If I stop pedaling now, I'm going to time it right that my power drops out, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So that was Bike Terra. It was fun, and I like it. You can hop in and do some certain things that you can't do in other platforms, like immediately bring in a GPX file. We had the editor. We talked about that last week. But you can just hop in and do some quick bot stuff and
I think
have some fun.
Price is really good with my Bike Terra. It has a lot of positives. I mean, and the graphics, like I said, we've talked about before, are bad enough that they're so good. But it's reasonably priced.
It's a style. That's a different. I think that's the difference. It's free. You can pay to get the ad. You can
pay for the extras.
You can pay for the extras, but they're just riding around is free. Now, I like that it's a style. That's why I'm okay with it. Different than Training Peaks, where Training Peaks is just sort of like low tier simulated realism. Right, that's just my take.
Terra is not trying to be realistic, right?
No.
Like that to me, that's what I like about it, right? It's like it's just accepting that it isn't that way.
It's like, hey, we're Virtua Fighter, and when I get in there, it's like I am okay with that. Now, that's kind of like with people with Zwift; they like the little cartoony thing. When I get into Ruby, I'm like, oh, this is a real thing. I wish the avatars were better in Ruby. But the feel of Ruby outweighs the visuals of it. But yeah, so I didn't ride Ruby. I think I did Ruby once this week, but I did mostly Bike Terra.
I had to go back and look to see what I did this week. I was twice on Zwift and once on MyWhoosh.
Did a bunch of Ruby, and then I did Zwift.
The Zwift. Let's get into the Zwift. The Zwift. So I was contemplating, because we did say, hey, we wanted Canada versus the world, and it came back.
We asked for it.
We did ask for it. We did.
And it's because of us, so I felt obligated to ride it.
Right, I know.
Just in support of Cycling Canada, and it's a fun little race. There's four age groups. You're allowed to race younger age group if you want to. You can't go older, but you can go younger.
You mean older people can race younger?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
I think I was actually going to post on the Cycling Canada Discord, because I think there needs to be some gaming of the system, because the A group had less people. The B group had, which was my age category, had almost 30 people signed up, while the A group had 16. And the way the points work is it's the top 8 Canadians and the top 8 world. So you could still place 20th and be in the top 8 of Canadians and still get points. But I think I might race down into A next week to
work the point system.
And you said so share with us a little bit about this too, Lee, because I didn't realize it was coming up this quick. So you can race down, but it's mass start, right? So you're still going to see everybody on the road, right? And when is it, and how do I find it to join?
It was on the Zwift calendar. It was a lot of Canadians were in it, because it really was only advertised on the Cycling Canada website and the Cycling Canada Discord.
Okay, let me jump in. Let me ask you a question, because we've been using Ruby, all three of us, right? Mm-hmm. They have really good, like, screen, like central area for you to find stuff, like if it's a challenge or if it's a race or if it's sort of thing. I mean, everything kind of looks the same, but they have some really good for lack of a better term, marketing in the game to kind of get you to kind of click around on stuff. Zwift doesn't really have that for anything other than their top banner, right?
Yeah, like
Like
Cycling
their
Canada.
challenge
Their
or
stuff.
something?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
they're not automatically promoting highly populated
No,
events,
and
right? They're
cycling-
just promoting their own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And Cycling Canada put it on their Discord with a link to the Zwift event sign up. And that's how I knew about it. And it's every Saturday or every Sunday. It's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is a decent time on a Sunday morning. And it's only 3 races. So race 1 was today. And it's just fun. Mass start, age group.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, the
mass start.
The
I was
mass
telling
start.
Casey before the show because Zwift, kind of done with Zwift, but I'm doing it for Cycling Canada. Zwift is Zwift. You know, like it's familiar. It's old. It's like wearing a pair of old shoes. You log in and you're like, yep, here it is. The mass
Okay,
start.
so
if
why
it-
are you
if it-
done? Why are you? Give me.
Well,
Let's
it's
get
just-
specific. Let's get
Well,
specific. What's the-
specific. After racing a few times in Ruby, it feels like you're actually racing.
Yeah.
Zwift feels like slot car racing where you're just moving your avatar forward. There's no immersive feel of draft. Like I was in, like today, the mass start. We'll go back to that for a real quick sec. Mass start. So I was in a group with 3 Bs, 2 Cs, 2 Ds, and 3 As. If it wasn't for mass start, I would have been with 2 other dudes
Yeah.
racing by ourselves. We had a little group. No one cared that they were A, Bs, and Cs. We were just all riding together. But, you know, when you draft, I know I'm drafting because I'm behind 8 other people. But
Yeah.
I look at my wattage, like it's just a lot of looking. It's a lot of visual. Like I have to look at my watts and go, am I saving wattage? I think so.
Yeah.
But I don't really know. It's on the flat. I'm looking at the speed going, we're moving at a pretty good pace. I'm doing 220 watts. I think I'm saving wattage. Ruby, it's just someone goes in front of you, all of a sudden your trainer, like you could close your eyes in Ruby and be like, I'm drafting. Like it just adds that extra element and the real life visuals, the immersive feeling of the race. It feels like you're racing outdoors.
Yeah. So do we know if Ruby does non-mass start stuff?
I don't think so. I think all their races are.
Yeah, I think I don't think they have the ability to do.
Well, they don't
pins.
even have points. Like you don't even like the races in Ruby are broken down into age categories. Like if you go and look at the result, you can break it down.
You can do age categories, but levels
but no one,
don't. Yeah, levels. There's no
people are
like
racing in
fitness
Ruby.
category. It's
people
just
race in
it's just
Ruby
people.
just to race. It's like just a race.
Yeah.
It's like because I want to race and I'm going to race. Where like now with Zwift with the points, it's like, well, I want to increase my lat thing. And it's just like, if it wasn't for mass start today, the race would have just been blah. And in Zwift in general, to me nowadays, is just blah. Like
did you stay together with the people in the mass start
until the hill?
Of course, that's where it's kind of. But like people were like not just like immediately.
No, actually,
splitting up.
It was a decent start. Like it actually was a regular, normal bike race start. It didn't start where everyone was sprinting, everyone rolled out. It was pleasant, but it's just the dynamics, the immersion. Ruby just right now hits every nail on the head when I want to do a bike race.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to do a lot of bike races, but Zwift, just like I have my last Zwift ride was November 14th.
How about that?
Was November 14th. That's a long time ago. And I came in today and I'm like, the same. Like, I mean, I understand what people get because I got what I wanted out of Zwift for like 8 years. So I understand that. I just think a lot of people who ride in Zwift really only ride in Zwift. And they haven't experienced, like, you know, when MyWhoosh was free, people kind of went to MyWhoosh. But when people were going to MyWhoosh, it was really bad. And so they'd go once and go, holy crap, there's crazy draft.
We're kind of, even Brian, who's not here on the show, he'll sprinkle in other stuff. Like he was doing Indie Velo when it was like alpha or beta or whatever it was. And so we are always seeking something, right? Like I found RGT and I was like, I like this better than I like Zwift. I still did Zwift because everybody was doing Zwift. But there's a lot of people that like Zwift and they compare it to something else and it's not the same. And so they're not wanting to leave. And so when you're saying, hey, it's Zwift is Zwift, which we say a lot and I say it a lot, the innovation from that game is few and far between. A stretch to make something more innovative, as Casey brought this up, like right off or maybe at the beginning of the show, was you got to help me out with this because I don't know what's going on. The aero bikes or the stuff that they're doing all this stuff. So they're doing the 4th challenge, right?
Yep. And
they are innovating in a way that they're redoing so they went their own evaluation of their equipment. Is that what is going on?
Yeah, they went. So remember, I mean, we talked about this, right? They were like, what are they? Are they a simulator or are they a game? What are they trying to be? And they seem to be wanting to gamify, but then they sent all their experts to the wind tunnel, right, back in the fall or whatever, and did all this analysis. So supposedly next week, all the aero stuff is changing across the board on Zwift, and they're making it all more realistic based on what they learned in the wind tunnel. And I'm like, what problem are we trying to solve? How is this going to make Zwift better for me? Like, it's still going to be about if you care about the bike choice is a scam. So the bikes are going to be different in a different way than they were different last week, but it doesn't really change my experience on Zwift.
Yeah, that's a follow-up question. Do you have the bike you already own is just changing, or do you have to buy the new version of the fixed bike?
We don't know all the details yet. Zwift Insider posted an article, but basically from the fastest to slowest bike, like road bike, there's going to be a broader gap in performance, but the wheels from fastest to slowest are actually closer together than what they used to be. They did hint that there's going to be introduction of a few new pieces of equipment with this coming out also. But I mean, we don't have to rebuy because he actually hinted that they were changing values in the store and most of the bikes were increasing in cost. So if you don't have a bike that you think you want, you might want to buy it now because next week it's going to cost you more.
See, I would love, well, here you go. Innovation, or not innovation, but just like applying something that already exists.
I raced on the Buffalo bike.
I would sell I would sell everything I don't want, then get money or crafting, right? Which is like you take like if you play Diablo, you take your stuff and you sell all the stuff and you just you use the stuff that you have, right? I would want them to make the new bikes. Hey, we've gone and reevaluated. It's like, hey, you own the 2017 Ale from Specialized. You want to buy the new one with your drops because we've been giving you drops. You can have as many drops as you want. That's being a loyal Zwift person, right? You buy the new one. I hope they do that. Now, I believe, this is just me, reckless speculation here, is they're not going to do that because they'd cave to everyone that's like, I have the Cervelo C5 or whatever it is, and now you're making it new. It's like, no. I wish they would just have the new stuff, and then you like, hey, I want to sell the old stuff, and so I can buy the new stuff. And then there's people that like Lee likes the Buffalo bike. He wants to keep that in his collection. That's a strategy. You got to figure out if you want to keep the old stuff and be a hoarder, or like me, I mean, I would purge everything. I would sell all my women's bikes, everything I bought, to just buy like the bike I use every day.
Well, I appreciate the effort because it is something that Zwift is doing, and they are giving people options to spend their drops on to customize their bike. But ultimately, bike choice isn't really going to matter because people are going to min-max one particular bike and say, if you max this bike out, it's 5 seconds faster than all the other bikes. So every racer is, and in racing, they neutralize all the bloody bikes anyways, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all for cosmetics and fun.
That's another point. I'm just saying that like you should be able to sell your stuff for drops to then put it back into the economy of buying stuff that you want. Like, hey, there's a new wheel, or hey, it's a strategy for like this has less value. Like I worked a lot, like sweat equity, to gain the drops to buy the thing. Well, you're not going to get the exact amount back. So it's your sort of like strategy to kind of like have a garage sale, for lack of a better term, and sell some stuff.
Just do full economy on it. Like I think of like I played like American Trucker Simulator, right? Like it's you make the decision when I unlock the next truck and I make enough money to buy that truck, do I buy it or do I pool my money? Because if I earn twice that amount, I can make a double leap. But if I buy the truck now, it's longer before I can get the next one, right? Like, so it's like, I'm going to ride the really bad bike longer than I have to, so I can make the jump up 4 tiers at once rather than 2 tiers at once, and do that with the whole bike, right? Like you're buying, you buy the plain Jane bike with down tube shifters, and when you switch over to, Di2, it's a value in the game, right? That you get a return on, and you can move that Di2 up to the next frame or whatever, but you got to start grinding away.
Yeah.
And if you want more than one bike, you got to pay rent in a garage to store them, or like do something like that. Like
that was my mistake.
Go ahead, real quick.
Go rant.
So I'm trying to find.
We need a sound effect.
The next Cycling Canada versus the World ride in Zwift. I'm on Zwift.com. You can't search by name. It only has filters. How do you move the calendar forward a week? Like I'm scrolling for 10 minutes and I'm only on Tuesday. I need to get to next Sunday.
You got to go to a third-party site, or you got to open your mobile app and move one day at a time in the mobile app until you get to that day. And then you just got to swipe till you get there.
This is horrible. Like,
it is bad. That's why no one uses the website.
Like it should be a calendar. It should be like a 7-day calendar. I pick the next Sunday. Groovy, man.
If you want to get on those rants, the rant I have, like a lot of the events I do now in Zwift, because I don't do a lot of open events anymore. If I'm jumping on just a ride, I go to one of these other platforms because I'm annoyed with Zwift. But I love my ladder races. I love my team time trials. I love my dirt race series that's going on right now. But those are all events that I get private invites to, and I join those events. So if I open my Zwift app, my companion app, if I'm logged in, the next one of those that I'm signed up for is right there that I can click on and see who's in it. But like if I have a race Tuesday and Wednesday that I'm registered for already, I can't see that Wednesday race without swiping in the mobile app for 10 minutes to get to Wednesday to find the event that I'm already in. Like I should be able to filter it to just I'm registered, and it should be 3 events right there, right? Those are the 3 that I'm registered for.
Zwift Power only goes to Wednesday.
What's Zwift Power?
Yeah, well, geez, man. I just want to link the damn event for people in chat because I want more world people. The entire race was a majority of Canadians, and I would like to make an actual race out of this because last year was amazing. We just need some more world people.
Last year was fun.
This last 10 minutes is exactly why I'm so frustrated with Zwift. Is I don't have a problem with these wind tunnel changes to the bike and what they're doing there. I don't think it's wrong. But why are they spending resources on that when we can't even search the bloody events?
Oh.
Right? Like, who's making the decision on where they're investing their time? That's the frustration, right?
Yeah. And the communication of that,
is a crit.
So, my experience this week, we done bashing on Zwift?
No, well, we can keep bashing. I do want to get some clarity because we did tease it at the end of last week. The 4th challenge. Let's touch on the 4th challenge really quickly. Yep. Is this something that's going to take a long time?
Yes.
Or,
Totally a long time.
Like,
which is good, or...
Brian White double dipping will be the first one of us to get it, and it'll take him 6 months.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah, I think so.
And what do you get?
Somebody ran the number. You get is it a bike unlock? I don't even know what you get. I don't even know what it is.
I don't even know. You only get one thing from the other 3.
Wasn't it new socks or something?
Oh my goodness.
Lightning,
that's it.
Here.
Lightning socks or something. Yeah. It's like a cross between the fire and the I don't know.
Oh, the
Yeah.
fire socks.
So everybody can see you're going harder in a race because that's what you want, right?
Oh, here we go. It's up on the screen for the audio only audience. Let's see.
He
here.
ran numbers down here somewhere where like how long it roughly it will take
Zwifters
you.
love carrots. They do. They do love carrots. Shout out to Zwift Insider.
This actually isn't the 4th challenge. This is a.
This is that's from 2021, I think, buddy. That's an old
wrong
article.
one.
That's how long we've been talking about it.
Yeah, Zwifters do love carrots because they're just waiting for more carrots. But the other 2 challenges, there's 4 challenges for people that it's really hard to find as well. You have to be in the game, then go to your there's like one icon in your profile when you're actually in the game. And you click on that, and then it tells you the 4 challenges. That's how you get to the Everest challenge, which is not default. Maybe it is default. Is the Everest challenge default now? I think they fixed that.
I think it is. I don't know how this worked because when I logged in and started my ride, it just popped up and said, "New challenges available. Do you want to sign up?" And I just clicked yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, boom.
Yeah, today it did the same thing.
Okay.
Said, "Do you want to sign?" So you must be level 40 plus. And as you do power, you create a power unit, and you need to generate. Looks like 250 power units.
Wait, you have to be level 40 to even start this?
Yes.
Get out of here. You're saying it takes 6 months for people, and people have to become 40, a level 40?
Yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit,
how long does it take to get to level 40?
It gives you some number. Level 40 doesn't take that long.
Oh, it doesn't?
So
okay.
one watt per kilogram for 5 hours each week. It'll take 170 weeks to complete the challenge.
So look at that third example. That's going to be like a high quality racer, right? Averaging 3 watts per kilo for 7 hours a week would take 40 weeks. So that's over half a year at 7 hours a week at my race pace.
Yeah, I don't do 3. Well, yeah, like it would take.
This is over a year for me at my current Zwift use.
And you get about the socks. Let's go.
Lightning socks.
Okay.
So the socks are the first unlock. This is like the Everest, right? There's unlock 1 and there's unlock 2. The socks are the first, and somebody just said in chat, and I think I remember this. The second unlock is actually a game advantage. You have improved CDA. You get a CDA bump across the board.
No way.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'd be into that. That's the one thing I would be into. Oh, there it says right there. Guys, CDA reduction.
Yeah.
Oh, would it be a drag reduction?
Or a draft? What would it be?
No. Aero bonus. Is this an aero bonus?
So
when you wear the socks, you receive a slight CDA reduction, making you faster. But does it give you streaks behind you? I don't want the streaks.
Just how much faster is unclear, but I'll definitely test the sock. Oh, he doesn't.
The first people that get the socks are going to realize how broken they are, and they're going to have like jet engines.
4 levels of visuals. At 1.5, you get sparks and a tire halo. At 2.1, you get tire fizzle flash. 2.7, you get full arrow lightning effects. 3.2 watts, you get full arrow lightning effects and lightning feet.
Can I turn all that off, but still get the arrow gains?
Because to me, it's like you're sacrificing. What do I want to call it? A surprise attack to get a better CDA, right? Because you now have all these bells and whistles attached to you that everyone sees what you're doing.
I want the CDA reduction, though.
Yeah.
I'm all for, if they're doing the CDA reduction, that it takes a year to get these.
Oh, yeah, I'm cool with that.
I'm all for the grind here. Yeah,
good.
I think this is
I'm
great.
not against that. This is good.
I'm totally fine with that.
But I don't want any of this cosmetic stuff.
No, I don't want lightning streaks and sparks.
I hate the fire coming. For other people to have the fire thing, that's fine. Then we just know they're going hard. I never used them. I don't think I've ever put them on.
I don't like them because when you race, I don't want somebody to immediately know when I light the fire, right? Like and if you're a sprint bugger, God, take the fire socks off. It's pretty obvious to see you're sprint bugging in the pack because it's fire rest, fire rest, fire. Come on, guys. If you're gonna cheat, at least take off the blinking light.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is a win. That seems like a good challenge.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad.
That's pretty good. A CDA reduction, but as a cost, you have to have a cosmetic thing.
Here's the problem: is someone's going to get these. Zwift Insider is going to do a test, and the CDA reduction is going to be worth 2 seconds over an hour. and it's not enough.
It's gonna be race changing more than the steering, right?
Yep.
Oh my God, they're steering. I'm never gonna win a race again because they're all steering. Oh my God, he's got better CDA. Yeah, somebody's gonna cry and they're gonna take it away. So, but we got a year for that. Well, I don't know if was it Felty or Teppy. One of those guys will go grind it out.
Teppy can do that.
Teppy will grind it out. He'll have them socks in about 3 weeks.
I don't know. Maybe he's not on, and maybe he's not into it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
He did the was it the
Everest
level
challenge on the 7-day?
Yeah, he did the Everest challenge
7-day free
on the 7-day free thing. But he also was like the first guy to get level 100, right?
Yeah, he was close. I don't know if he actually made first, but he got level 100 really fast.
Yeah. So, yeah, this grind is going to take 7. It's like, so you're sending watts into a formula, and then they
at the same time.
It's
I'm going to pull the baloney because Zwift, especially when they came out with steering, they've done everything in their power to make people who don't have steering, react better to steering. So then they come out with a challenge that's completely power based. So all the fatties are going to take 3 years to get the socks. It's not fair.
Well, it's like power based, not watt per kilo, right? So
no, it's watt per kilo based.
Oh, is it? It has a weight in there. No, what's going to happen is in May, the Zwift challenge of the month for May is going to give you double power units, and everybody's going to join Zwift's events, and then Zwift's
Tour
going
of Watopia, double power units.
Zwift's going to report how great the attendance is at their event because they're giving away free bonuses at their event. I don't know.
Like someone like me who rides around at 2.0 is going to take me 80 weeks to get the socks of riding 10 hours a week.
This is the part that I struggle with Zwift is I don't have a problem with the bike changes. I don't have a problem with the challenge, but none of those things are inciting me to keep riding Zwift, right? They're not keeping me there.
Here's a question. Because it's like my last ride in Zwift was November 14th. Is bike change a thing still or not?
Bike change? Like stopping in mid?
Yeah. Because so the Cycling Canada race today went into the jungle. I stopped, changed the mountain bike, but I didn't gain on anybody. Everyone was still on their road bikes, and I was pushing hard, and I was pushing more watts per kilo than the people I'm chasing, and I gained a few seconds. Where I remember back in the day, you would gain like a minute plus on the jungle.
They did change the gap from the road bike to the mountain bike, and that in on the dirt. So it's hard to get a circumstance where the bike change is worth the stop time. It is still faster on the mountain bike, but the gap between them is not so high anymore that it's rarely worthwhile to do the swap.
Yeah, it wasn't. I flubbed. I was so far back. People in chat when I was streaming didn't really know. So I'm like, well, I'm going to test it because I'm already 53rd place. Why not? And I totally flubbed the change because I forgot what button was to stop in Zwift. I forgot the brake.
If you're virtual shifting, you have to use the brakes. Like I don't have a thing to stop me anymore.
So I went into the pairing screen, but it took me 30 seconds to remember that if you go in the pairing screen, your guy stops. So my first bike change, I think, was a minute, and a guy who was 30 seconds behind me caught me and then was 30 seconds ahead. So I switched to the mountain bike, but he remained 30 seconds ahead of me despite me matching his watts per kilo, if not going slightly above his watts per kilo. So I was like, well, was lame, but...
Right on. Next topic?
I did MyWhoosh on Monday, and I had some realization.
This is before the update? It was the update last week. So
this was, I don't even know if it was, no, it was after the update because I remember getting the update to do it, but I got in there and did a workout. Jumped in there, did one of these group workouts with a different person. Mm-hmm. For one, like my chat was going bonkers. I didn't mind the guy, but I kind of tuned him out. But like,
yeah, he was like he was a super hyped dude.
Super hyped, super chatty, like, which was great. I enjoyed the group workout. He was a little too much chatty, but my observation of the group workout on MyWhoosh, and this is where I think, and this is going back to looking at Swift a little bit. One thing MyWhoosh does really good in the group workouts is it does not make you feel like you're riding in mud. My average pace in that group workout on the flat with the group that I was with was 25 to 27 miles an hour. Faster than it should have been, sure. But I actually felt like I was riding a bike normal. Not when you get into those group workouts in Zwift, it drags you down to like 13 miles an hour, and you're like, I'm never going to get out of this tunnel. I'm stuck in the Ocean Road tunnel forever because we can't move. They've deflated the speed so bad because they don't want the slowest rider in the group to set a new Strava segment time for themselves that's not realistic to their own power. And I think all the other platforms are just like, I don't care. Like, but and to me, like the experience was so much better just by it didn't feel like it was in slow motion. Like
it felt like you were doing a workout by yourself.
It felt right. And I was just like, and having the person on screen and having the person talk and all that adds to it. And I think that's great. And I think that's the biggest thing that makes theirs better. But those other little things, I was just like, I was shocked at how much better just the surroundings of the group workout felt because we were actually moving down the road at what felt like a race pace or a spirited group ride pace and not, the D-bot riding at 120 watts. Like you felt the effort moving you forward. So that was my experience on that one.
And how's the new interface and all the other stuff? Because we have it up for the audio only audience. We have the website with the 4.0 release, which is a major update, is here, as they state.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it wasn't that much different. Should I say that out loud? It wasn't that much different.
I think the UI looks good because you can actually turn on and off each individual item in the UI by clicking on it.
Yeah.
I think actually the triathlon mode, there's a lot of guys on Zwift that do the duathlons where this triathlon mode works fantastic. Dual login system allows riders to seamlessly transition between cycling and running in MyWhoosh. So you do your ride, go right into the run.
Yeah. So as soon as the run, sorry, I'm trying to not cough. You do the ride or the run first. It depends on what you want to do. It goes full screen. Has anyone experienced this? That's my first question. Second question is, after you complete your first thing, it like ends that ride or run. And then you go into this little screen, because for the audio only audience, there's a ride and a run that's selected, and you can select the other one and it just goes right into it. Is that what they're saying?
Pretty much. Because the way the
that's pretty
Zwift
cool.
duathlon, I don't have experience firsthand, but I've watched a bunch of guys do the duathlon. There's like a 15-minute gap between the ride and the run because you have to get out of the ride and then go into the run event, and it puts you in the run pen.
You know what this is? This is sorry. This is the Cade Sport playlist. Remember that?
It's similar. You're right.
It's very similar.
What this does, being with the triathlon background, the one thing I hated about the whole duathlon thing in Zwift, the easiest place to make up time in a triathlon is between the two activities, not in the activities.
The transition.
The transition. And Zwift, basically what it was it was two events staggered, and it let everybody finish the first. They were always time-based, right? How far can you ride in 15 minutes? And then how far can you run in 15 minutes with a 5-minute gap to give you time to transition from one to the other? Everybody got the 5-minute gap. In this one, it can be a distance, and then how quick can you transition and start your run?
Yes.
And it's a distance,
and the
transition counts in your overall time.
Yeah, it's an additional sort of like, what is it? Not talent. Additional competition. It's the little competition inside the competition of like,
right.
I remember the duathlon you run for 15 minutes, the other one you ride for 15 minutes. Where this is like, hey, you need to transition properly to you got to get your thing, your treadmill and your pod and all these other things. It's like, hey, get good at that too.
This is a real thing for triathletes that they practice, because I can remember my local triathlon, good friend of mine, him and I were always competing for age group awards. We got the end of one of those triathlons, and he's sitting there and he's bummed. Like, I beat him by 15 seconds overall, right? Like, and he's running down the numbers, and I never even put it together. And he started adding up the numbers, and he's like, if I add up my swim, my bike, and my run, I beat you by 35 seconds. And you add the transitions in there, and you beat me by like 15 seconds. And it's because he was taking his time on all the transitions. And he's like, I got to go home and drink away my sorrows, because now I got to start training transitions, because that's what's losing the
So he
race.
has to learn how to put on the shoes faster.
Right. He would put on his bike shoes before he got on the bike. My shoes were on my bike, and I would do the flying start. I'd get up to speed and then reach down and crank down my pedals. I didn't wear socks when I ran. I'd get off my bike with no socks, throw on my run shoes, blisters.
There's a lot of it. So yeah. I've done one triathlon in my life. The glide, or like because when you have wet feet coming out of the water, trying to get it through a shoe, it's like these are little things, like getting your wetsuit off faster, and those start to add up. So I'm with you on the, hey, can you calibrate your pod faster to get on the treadmill faster? That's actually kind of fun.
And I think leading into this, the reason MyWhoosh was focused on this triathlon is and I don't know if they actually said this in here, but is it the Super League Triathlon has went to MyWhoosh, which is Super Tri, yeah.
Oh, Super Tri, yeah.
So it's an indoor event that they've had. I've seen them do. They did it on Zwift at one point, where it's in a venue where you actually swim in the pool, but then you get out and you ride on the trainer and you run on the treadmill on the pool deck, basically.
Yeah. So when we were like in COVID lockdown, or just coming out of it, didn't we have an event that was a indoor triathlon where they had it was like around a pool. So they had treadmills on one side of the pool, and then the exercise bikes or the smart bikes on the other side of the pool, right? Did the transition get clocked as well? So you get out of the pool and you go to your bike, and then you do, or what? Yeah, bike, swim. It's swim, bike, run. So swim, then bike.
I believe in that
event. And then run over
event
to the other side.
Yeah, I think that event was end to end timed, but they had like separate user accounts logged in on the treadmill and on the bike, so you could go straight from one to
right.
The one
you didn't
to
have
one.
Yeah.
Right, the events were already started. You just had to jump on and go.
It was probably because Zwift you had to quit the game to change to running or something. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
That's how old that event was. I think wasn't Lionel Sanders did that or something like that, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there was some pro triathletes that did that, and I mean I think that was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
that was probably that was shortly after I was doing elite stuff, if not at the same time. So you were 17, 18 probably when that was going on.
All right. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, the virtual gearing is on MyWhoosh.
So
big one.
My caution to any app, I'm all for the virtual gearing, guys. I love the virtual gearing, but it confuses more people than you're giving to people what they want.
It confuses people.
Are
you going to give a public service announcement?
So what MyWhoosh has done here has caused so much confusion, because basically anyone that logs into the game now gets a little gear indicator on their screen. And if you use that gear indicator, it adds or removes resistance from your trainer, simulating a gear. But you can still shift your gears. All it's doing is like adding more slope or taking more slope away from where the road is. So like gear 15 on a flat is 0%, but gear 18 on a flat is actually just like a 2% gradient. That's all they're doing. So you can't really, all you can do is hide the visual on the screen, but it's not really a mode you're turning on. It's just like an extra scaler that they put on the screen. Where like what Zwift has done with the trainer, and Ruby has pirated it a little bit, is it's actually a mode on the trainer. So it's simulating shifting a little bit, and it's on or off. So anybody who doesn't have the tools just doesn't even see it, doesn't even care. They just keep doing what they're doing. What this has done is it's given 10% of the population something they're asking for, and the other 90% are confused as hell why they have a gear indicator, because they don't want to use it. It's like it needs to be something you can like turn on and off. I'm okay with how they implemented it. It just needs to have a switch just to
Well,
be like, I don't want virtual gearing. Just shut it off.
and with Zwift being the biggest, cycling platform out there, they have kind of muddied the waters with the term virtual shifting because
Yeah.
social media is rampant with people with Zwift rides posting on the MyWhoosh Facebook page going, why won't my Zwift ride work in MyWhoosh virtual shifting? Even when and everyone's like, no, it's not the same thing. And
Yeah.
I bought a Zwift ride to ride in MyWhoosh. Well, you made a mistake.
Should have
That
bought a
sounds
MyWhoosh
familiar.
ride if you wanted to ride on MyWhoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see in the future that all of these platforms come together and honestly make a standard.
Yeah, but doesn't doesn't Elite with their smart frame
Well,
thing?
the Elite intercepts the signal of the trainer with their app. So they're doing a weird workaround that honestly I don't think is a great workaround because you need to have the app. Like the way Zwift is implementing it in the firmware of the trainer is the way virtual shifting should be. And but Zwift, other than Ruby, because Ruby reverse engineered it, but MyWhoosh has come out and said, we're not going to go down that road. We are leaving
So
that alone.
Elite bridges it to a phone.
Yes. Kind of like
Yeah.
the QZ app.
Elite's putting something in the middle. Now,
Yeah.
and the only part about Elite is conceptually that's the way it's working, but has anyone actually seen anyone using that hardware and that virtual shifting?
No.
It's not been,
outside
it's not, I haven't
DC
seen any of the
Rainmaker.
reviewers.
Has it been released? Has it been released
Yes.
yet? You can buy it? Oh, okay.
No, I haven't seen Ray or Llama or anybody do it. So it's like until Elite actually gets like hands on something somewhere that we can see actually working, it's
I have
all
not
conceptual.
seen a single test of the Zwift or the Elite Square.
Yeah.
I've only seen pictures and like people riding it at like bike shows or tech expos.
Okay, so how come the Wahoo bike can shift in Zwift?
Well, they could shift in Zwift way before virtual shifting.
Yeah, I know. That's
was
what I'm
ever virtual
saying. Like
shifting.
It's built into the bike.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's.
It's
so,
it's doing the ramping up and down on the bike itself by percentage of grade, like what MyWhoosh is doing.
And it's just communicating back to Swift what gear it's in. That's the only reason. Yeah.
The same thing as the plays and the click and the ride. It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's the same concept, but it's different because your kicker bike will shift without Zwift, right? It doesn't rely on a third-party software to assist in that shifting. All your kicker bike is getting from the game is the slope of the road, and all of the shifting and all of that is done within the bike. And the only reason you see what gear you're in on Zwift is because the bike is telling Zwift what gear you're in. But when you're virtual shifting on a kicker trainer, Zwift is the one who is communicating to the trainer what gear you're in and what slope you're in. And the gear shift communications are going to the game, not to the trainer. Does that make sense? And it's going through the game. So it's not all closed in. And that's why you can take any virtual bike like a kicker bike. I can take a kicker bike and go ride it on MyWhoosh and still do virtual shifting on my bike. MyWhoosh just may not display it on the screen what gear I'm in, but I can still functionally use it. But the Zwift ride,
it's just a display
I can't.
on the screen. It's just a display on the screen.
The Zwift ride, I can't because the Zwift ride relies on the software to be a part of that. Where the kicker bike doesn't rely on the software to be a part of that. All the kicker bike needs from the software is the slope. So that's why a kicker ride doesn't work, or a Zwift ride with a kicker. That's why it doesn't work on MyWhoosh, and a kicker bike will, because the kicker bike only needs the slope to do its interaction, where the ride needs the gearing and the slope to come from the game. So it's different. It's conceptually the same, but it's very different on how it's implemented. Yeah.
Okay.
Super Data Geek got stuff there.
Yeah.
2 minutes, guys.
All right.
Because all you're really trying to do is you make the gear harder because the game is just reading watts. So
Yeah.
if you make the trainer simulate 2%, your watts are going to go up and it's going to feel like you've changed a gear. The game goes, wow, his watts went up. Now he goes faster. Like it's actually a super simple thing. Like TPV had virtual shifting based on that very, very early on. I think they were probably the first to actually have shifting.
Yeah, they were one. Yeah. I think so. There was no shifting in RGT.
Just steering all the time.
Chevrons. Okay, well, maybe we just end on that note. Good? Anything else?
I sent the link out in multiple chats. Everyone sign up for Canada versus the World next Sunday.
North America,
world people.
2 more weeks. Get on that Sunday Race Club, guys. Midday Sunday Race Clubs in North America for
that
2 more weeks. Yeah.
We need more people.
I was watching Randy's race earlier. And I have the new, like, we're kind of finishing up here, but the MyWhoosh UI, the one weird thing that I noticed was when she was in the group, she was the sprint winner. I don't know if it was the sprint segment or she got the jersey. Her whole kit changed. So I thought she was in a different category, but she was racing with the people in that same category, but her jersey was different than the other ones. Yeah. Okay. And I was like, oh, and then you look at the rider list and then the jerseys on the left-hand side based on, I wonder if do the other riders get to see that and go, that's kind of weird. That would be weird because if you were like the race leader after the race, during the race, like people might not know that you're the race leader and your jersey's on right now.
Holly's saying yes, and Holly was in that race. She's actually saying Randy was in the same race as her. She can see it. Yeah. I don't
particularly like that. I think they should fix it.
But that jersey was for the fastest time, not necessarily first across the line, right? That's just the default.
She was second in the sprint.
Okay.
But she had the green jersey of the group of red riders.
So I don't think she won the money because she wasn't. I don't know if she won the money,
but why does she have a jersey that's different? And it's singling her out. So like if she goes off and tries to get in a breakaway, somebody's going to see that. I'm thinking it from like reading the race.
She got to quit sprinting so hard so people don't pick her out of the group, right? Come on, Randy.
That cash money.
That's the problem.
No. But I'm saying that like you can sprint and be a marked rider, but I don't think the game should make it easier for people to to point you out as the marked rider.
Yeah,
that's my take. And I'll leave it on.
Shout out to Holly for winning her category.
Shout out to Holly. Shout out to all the ladies
and for staying up till like 2 a.m. to watch the show.
Yeah, thanks, Holly.
Yeah, I was watching. I was clicking around. Holly, I think Kathy. Is there? What's her name? Kathy.
Yep.
She's in it. And then we don't have Brian here to
Flight.
Dominique's last name.
Flight.
Yeah, I know it's a flight wizard. Flight, but Charlebois. We'll just go with that. Okay. On that note, we went right over. See, we just get that little extra in, pushes over. Now we're not short. We're not shorting the show. It's over an hour.
Anybody who is in the 50% of the United States that's had a tornado warning in the last 3 days, I hope you're all safe. I know no one on this show other than me encountered that, but basically from...
There was a tornado warning
Texas and Oklahoma
in
east.
Los Angeles. There was a tornado warning in Los Angeles, I think, earlier in the week. So
it's been crazy.
Yeah.
So.
On that note, to all our Canadian Commonwealth friends, bye. Wave. Bye.
Good night.
Until next time. Good night.